Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new and better way to build the college list. I'm Lisa McLaughlin. I'm going to start with some announcements for you. I am opening the Hunt for the Perfect College. It is the one activity that will completely help your students to clarify what they want in a college, what college is all about, and you do it in a really low pressure, non-confrontational way. It is a student and parent joint workshop. Parent of a college-bound teen, grades 8 through 11. If you have a senior that's still on the fence or that's now second guessing their decision, this is a great workshop for them to do. It'll help build their confidence and it will help them know what to look for when they land on campus. So it really is appropriate for 8 through 12. You both attend. It's 90 minutes. Don't feel like it's too early and don't feel like it's too late. It's a really great workshop and you will use it over and over again with multiple students. If you've got more than one teenager, they can do it with you together. That's perfectly fine. Now we're gonna get started. We're gonna talk about the old way of building college lists, how a lot of people are still building it, which is why I'm gonna talk about it in the old way. We're gonna talk about how you need to be categorizing schools now into reach, competitive, and good bet. Notice I don't use the word safety. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about how much I cannot stand that word in a moment. We're gonna talk a bit about the strategies that I now use to create college lists, what I've been doing for a while, but what a lot of people still aren't doing, and why I hope that folks will start to shift how you're talking about colleges and how you're picking colleges with your teen in order to increase options. So let's get started. So what was the old way of building college lists? For those of you that are admissions formula members, you sort of know the drill here, but the old way of how I built lists and how unfortunately a lot of people are still doing it is you start with this big long list of schools. You come up with one factor, maybe another factor. Maybe it's the major, maybe it's location, maybe it's proximity to an airport. Whatever it is your factor is, you start with that and then you come up with all the colleges that could possibly fit that factor. And you have this big list and you look at the admissions rates and you look at the rejection rates and you look at all the things that you think you need to look at. You look at the test scores and you look at the GPA and you build this really, really long list. And that's what I used to do. I used to develop this wonderful spreadsheet for families that had all the stats on there, and I'd sit down and do this family meeting with the parents there and the student there, and I'd just present the list. I did that for a while, and then the students were supposed to start researching colleges. And I'm like, why are they not doing their research? What's the problem? Don't they care? How dare they? I did all this work for them. What? And I would get so frustrated and the parents would get so frustrated and we'd all be sitting there scratching our heads. What's going on? Do they not want to go? All these questions that we had on our mind. Then I got smart and I decided to have some conversations with students about why they weren't doing their homework and their research. I started noticing and really paying attention to the moods of the student in these family meetings. And they felt so dejected, so sad. I even color-coded the lists into reach, competitive, and good bet so they could look at all of it and see it all at once. Holy deer in headlights, shooting down self-esteem, making them feel like they're not enough. All of these terrible things that were going on in that meeting. And so I shifted. And what I do now instead with my clients and the way that I teach it to admissions formula members is one school at a time. One school at a time. And I don't care if you've got a second semester junior right now and you haven't even started and you don't know the factors that are important to him or her in the search. One school at a time. And you dig in deep. I've changed into one school at a time. And once they've done their research on that, we move to another one and we gradually build out the list. Since I've been doing that, it has absolutely done wonders and built confidence like crazy through the cycle. And it's helped students to understand that there is a way to build this list that's going to increase their options. And it's not all about trying to get into that most selective school. It's about taking the time to even look what's offered in college in the first place and finding schools that match. Doing it this way will absolutely increase the likelihood of getting them excited because they will start to go down their own rabbit holes and they won't just wait to be spoon-fed. They will be the ones that'll be like, I found this, I want to look for this. The other old way, and something I used to do, is I would spend most of my time talking about the most selective colleges on the students' list and then I'd get to those good bets. We all tend to think that just because a college is more selective makes it better. That is not true. Selectivity is so arbitrary. If you have a student that took the PSAT, how's that college mail looking right now? A lot of you are getting a lot of college mail, and you're getting it from places possibly like Harvard that are saying, apply here. We would love to have your application. They're not saying we'd love to have you. Okay? They're saying we'd love to have your application. They drive up the application numbers to make themselves look selective. Now, Harvard's one that's always like that, but there are a lot of other colleges that are doing that. There's a business reason why they're doing it. They're trying to make sure they have enough people that could possibly fill their seats. So there's a business decision. It's all about yield. So applications increased at a lot of the more selective schools. Why did they increase? One of the main reasons is because a lot of these colleges are now test optional, where you didn't need to submit scores if you didn't feel like it was going to help your application. Or, like for the whole state of California public school system, they all went test blind, test free. Tests are not going to be used as part of the process. So with that, a lot more students were putting in applications that, frankly, I would say the majority of those students, they still don't have a shot even without sending the scores. You have this increase of applications. That, I believe, is one of the main reasons why we have the inflated numbers of applications. The other is because the colleges in the years prior had a really hard time determining, okay, if we let this student in, are they going to come here? And because of that, they sent out what I call crap apps. Sorry, I call them that. They sent out these apply for free. If you apply, you don't need to send in an essay, all these crap apps to increase their applications, because again, they want to make sure that every single seat is full, that they meet their yields. So you had this other huge increase in applications. When you heard about this in all these different formats on these little Facebook groups that are driving me nuts, people are like, my kid was waitlisted everywhere, or they got waitlisted at their safety school, or they didn't get in. And a lot of that was because, first of all, improper categorization. We're going to talk about that. And the second was that the colleges are hedging their bets. If they over-enroll, they're screwed. You can't over-enroll. If you over-enroll, where are you going to house everybody? They go, oh no, too many students said yes to us. Now, hey, anyone want to go abroad for a year? Anyone want to defer for a year? So that's why you see some of these schools that have really, really long wait lists. It means they screwed up their yield in the years prior, so they're hedging their bets and they're going to be digging deep into their wait lists. I talk about this in depth in the admissions formula. So why does all of this matter to you, and how do you need to think differently about choosing colleges? First thing that I want to tell you is that every single one of you needs to take this whole find your fit thing a lot more seriously. And you need to really understand what is entailed in that. What does it even mean to really find your fit? And that's the first part that I'm going to spend some time on right now. I'm going to just talk to you about why this is so important. You need to spend most of your time here. And whether you have an 8th grader or a rising senior, you need to focus on fit. I'm not talking about geography. Yes, that's important, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about weather. I'm talking about helping your teen to seriously understand what fits me, what matters to me. And how do you do that? Well, number one, you enroll in the hunt. And if you're not going to enroll in it, I'll give you some tips on what to do. It will be much harder for you to do it on your own. But there are like 50 to 75 factors that your teen needs to think about when it comes to the college experience. And if you categorize them, it's all the social things, all the academic things, all the personal things. What are the things that your teen needs in each category to ensure that school fits? You have to figure out those factors first. That is crucial. If you don't come up with what I believe, the 5 factors that are going to go into your college search, you're going to have a much harder time getting your teen to love good bets if you don't know that, because I guarantee you that for every highly selective college on your list, if you know the 5 factors that you want at that school, you will find them at a good bet. You absolutely will. You just have to flip the switch of selective is better. Selective is better. There are plenty of good bet schools. There are colleges that still cannot fill seats. So you have to sit there and think about what makes a college great for your student. In the hunt for the perfect college, your students do this sorting activity, and it's very low pressure, and it's amazing how much they already have within them and they know. If you were to grill them and say, where do you want to apply and why do you want to apply? They're going to look at you like, I don't want to talk right now. It's not very motivating. But if you can take the pressure off and put it into like a game and help them to think about college and build that awareness, it's going to help you to help them to have more options, because they will know what to look for when they're researching schools. Now, if you do it with a 9th grader, they're going to change their mind. How awesome is that? Do you hear what I said? I didn't just freak out that it was bad. It means they're growing. It means they're learning. It means they're thinking about themselves. And you want to be that parent that's like, yay. Okay, you've changed your mind. All right, let's do these cards again. Let's go through the sort again. Let's think about these factors differently. You changed your mind. Let's research it this way. So it takes the pressure off them when they do change their mind as they mature. This will help them if we come up with the factors that are important, and then we go looking for the colleges. My advice there is start really small. Figure out the factors that are important. Come up with 5. As specific as you can, 5 factors, researchable factors that you can find. Start with one college, dig deep into that research, and then if that college works, great, find similar schools to that college. I teach all this in the admissions formula, and that's how you continue to go through and build that list. And then my last point on the factor piece, please be honest with your student about finances. Don't hold that conversation to later. Don't do that to yourself. And don't do that to your student. Why would you want to saddle them with debt? If you can't afford it, what gift you're giving your teen to not have that kind of debt? What gift you're giving yourself to have a better retirement, to not have that debt? I have a budget, and we've talked about it, and we've been open about it. This is not a secret. So if you're building a list and you see that the sticker price is really high, make sure you're also looking to see what opportunities there are for grants and scholarships and things like that. But my goodness, be realistic and don't bank on that. Make sure you have colleges on the list that do meet the financial part and they meet other factors that your teen is looking for, and they are out there. That's number 1, is take that finding fit seriously, and I want you all to be spending the majority of your time there. That's where you need to be. Number 2, begin the research process with the good bets. And now you're like, well, what's a good bet? So we're going to talk about the categorizing in a minute. Notice I did not say safety school. Notice I did not say backup school. I hate those words because it makes it sound like those are terrible schools. Here's your backup, your plan B. Don't do that. That vocabulary is what kills it for students. But how do you really know if a school is a good bet? Let's talk about how I believe everyone should be defining this now. We're going to talk about reach and good bet first, and then we're going to talk about the muck of competitive. So reach, competitive, good bet. Reach, your student's profile, and we're going to do it in this way. We're going to say GPA range. We're going to say class rank, possibly if your school ranks. That profile falls short, just short, of the university's previously admitted class. And this is important, any school that has a rejection rate, notice how I said that, of 75% or more applicants. Any school that is rejecting 3 out of every 4 applicants is a reach for your student, period. And I don't care if your student is way above the admitted class. That school's a reach. Any school that rejects 75% or more applicants is a reach. You can hem and haw and you can not like that as much as you want, but there's no way you can hedge your bets or even build a case for admission that like checks all the boxes and whatever and say that your kid will automatically get in. Those schools are reaches. Good bet. These, in my opinion, are the easiest to find because you're going to look at admit rates. So a good bet is if your teen's profile is higher than the university's admitted class. Again, you're going to look back a few years, and I'm actually going to say they're competitive for that class. They sort of meet that profile, and they reject less than 25% of their applicants. They have a very low rejection rate. Those are your good bets. Let's go through competitive. Competitive would be that your teen's profile is aligned to that class, and the rejection rate is between like 50 to 75%. But here's the problem with this. Colleges that are accepting about half of their applicants, they're struggling right now with their yields. So they're using different strategies that you may not know about. They're using different institutional strategies to try to hedge their bets on who's going to say yes to them. I now am really thinking in my mind that kids have reach/competitive and good bets. When you are building your list, load it with those good bets that fit the factors that you're looking for. And that way, if your teen is waitlisted or doesn't get into these reach and competitive schools, all of their good bet schools fit the factors that they're looking for. So you're not going, well, I just applied to these safety schools, but I just didn't really think I would need to go there. That's the problem, is they're like, all I did was get into my safety schools. Well, first of all, you shouldn't put a school on your teen's list if they really wouldn't be happy going there. So your job as a parent is to make sure they're researching in depth those good bet schools to make sure that they fit the factors that your teen is looking for. My lesson for you on Reach Competitive Good Bet is don't just look at the admit data. You have to look at the rejection rates as well when you're categorizing. And the beauty of that process is that sometimes, like in the case of my own child, they fall in love so much with their good bets that they don't care so much about those highly selective schools and are saying things like, I would really be happy there and I know I'm going to get in. Wouldn't that be great? And that's my own child. My own child is applying to 4 colleges. 4 colleges? How do you only have 4 on the list? She has an ultra selective academic profile. So don't think that she just doesn't. She does. And one of her non-negotiable factors is that she wants a place with a lot of balance and wants to be with students who love learning, but doesn't want to constantly be like treading water and trying to keep up with everybody. She has these other factors that we've hammered out and that have changed over the years. But I'm telling you this because she's fallen in love with at least 1, she's getting to 2 good bets. And so we don't even know if she were to get into that highly selective school, whether she would pick it. That is a wonderful place for your student to be. And you can do this. It's a change in mindset and a change in vocabulary. So that's number 2. Number 3, slow your roll. We as parents love to have all the information. And imagine how overwhelmed we feel with all of that information. Your teen doesn't need all the information at once. There have definitely been times when I've been the one that is like, talk. Here, look at this, check this out, sending this link, sending this text, go, giving her information. And thankfully I have a relationship with my kid where she could be like, stop, no more. Let me sit with the information that I have and I'll let you know when we want to talk about it more. So slow your roll a bit and know that you as an adult, your prefrontal cortex is developed and you're able to compartmentalize and you're able to plan better. It's much harder for them. When you're going through this process, get your own anxieties in check. Know that it can absolutely still be done. Even if you have a second semester junior, if you watch this later and you have a rising senior, same thing, you can still make sure that you slow your roll here. Really focus on the teen that you have and just remember that no 2 applicants are alike. Try to just really focus on the teen that you have, what's important to them, and do it gradually. And that way you'll build the list. And even if other people are like, oh, my kid's applying to 12 colleges and you only have 2 or 3 great ones on your list, that's fine. Don't worry about everyone else. It doesn't matter. Number 4, be ready to negotiate. Be ready to negotiate with your teen and be ready to negotiate with yourself internally and know that your teen is going to have to do their own negotiating with themselves. What do I mean by that? In the hunt for the perfect college, the outcome of the activity is that you end up getting 5 factors that are really important to your teen, and they're very specific. They're very, very specific factors. But then as the students start to research, it might be that they can't have all 5. They might only get 3. Okay, or at one school, they get these 3. In another school, they get these 3. So as your teen goes deeper into the process and understands more of what they're looking for, it might be that there's not 5 non-negotiables, there might be 2. And that's okay. And those are their top priorities and they have to have that. And then the others are sort of nice to have. I believe it's important for students to understand that it is all a negotiation. This college may not have every single thing they want. And as I've watched my own child go through this, I feel like that message, she hasn't gotten that a lot until now, where she'll say things like, well, this college has these things, but it's missing this. And this college has these things, but it's missing this. You're right. So let's think about which ones you want more. Which ones are more important? And then when you do end up having a senior, because they will all get there, and they have their options, they've already had these conversations. And so you can sort of go through a reprioritizing in order to make that final selection. So be ready to negotiate. And my final thing that I want to say about this is the paradox of choice is really important. The Paradox of Choice is a book by Barry Schwartz. It was written, I think, like '04 or something, and it's something I've used for a while. It's a major problem that we have right now in our society. Because of the internet, because of Yelp, because of reviews and student reviews, everyone has their opinion. And we have these huge amount of options for everything. The reality is that you have to be careful because for us, and especially for our students, because of that prefrontal cortex, when they have so many options to choose from, rather than making people really happy because you have a lot of options, it tends to cause more confusion because you're stuck in making decisions. So again, I urge you to come up with the factors first and make sure that wherever your teen is applying, some or all, if you need to, of those factors actually exist. I have had so many parents over the years that will say, what stone is left unturned? Analysis paralysis. Are there any other colleges that I'm not thinking of? Yes, there are, and there always will be, because there's thousands and thousands of schools. The flip side of that is having someone like my daughter who has a very narrow view of what she wants. We've narrowed and narrowed and narrowed, and I said, if you want to open your mind, honey, you're going to have more options. If not, I love the 4 you have. You're going to get into 2 for sure. And she loves those schools too. So paradox of choice is one thing. Narrowing, a lot of you guys get really scared about that, but it's okay. It's okay if it's narrowed. If your kid's mature enough where they know what they want, then it's totally fine, and be cool with that. I think an abundance of options can sometimes leave you unsatisfied with your choice. And sometimes that's because there are so many choices that the students start to freak out. But I will again say, if you do have a senior who is either still in decision mode or they've made a decision and they're second guessing, that the hunt will absolutely help with that. So that concludes the presentation. As a reminder, if you are interested in Hunt for the Perfect College workshop, grab your seat. Thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.